You are now listening to the Business Chatter Podcast.
All right. Welcome to the Business Chatter Podcast. I'm Anthony.
I'm Chris, and we're happy that you're here with us today.
Oh, sorry. I almost took your part. That's so messed.
I mean, you messed up the intro. You could tell that you've been traveling internationally because someone's a little rusty.
Don't fire me.
Yeah, we'll see how the rest of this one goes.
All right. Finish your part.
All right. Well, we're going to be talking about entrepreneurship, startups, to enterprise, value creation, team building, product management, and everything in between.
And today, we are talking about
layoffs, unfortunately.
Yeah, not great, but it happens.
We can't really get up for it, but hopefully by the end of this conversation, we'll be in a much better place and we'll be able to look at it, for what it is.
We definitely know a lot of people that have been affected by the layoffs. We've worked in organizations that have suffered through layoffs. Fortunately, both times we weren't a part of it, but a lot of people we know were. And right now I am seeing way too many posts on LinkedIn of people losing their jobs and reaching out to their network. So we're going to talk a little bit about, the importance of keeping a strong network, keeping strong friendships, being nice to people.
Absolutely.
The basic things that sometimes aren't so basic for a lot of people.
Certainly. And, when you are focused on a goal, whether that's in, your personal life, at work, as an entrepreneur, whatever the case may be, sometimes it's easy to lose sight of the day-to-day, right? Or let connections, and your network and friendships, wither, for lack of a better phrase. So it really is important to, consider, I think, number one, first and foremost, Anthony and I were chatting right before starting here, and the golden rule is something that comes up so much. Treat others how you want to be treated. If you put yourself in their shoes, think about how that impacts you. And I'm sure many people have been doing that because it is, an uncertain time, but it is very important to think about that and take the actions that you can to be able to support those around you, because you never know, what you can do for them. And you never know, if the tides turn where you may need their help and support, and being, there for them, aside from being the right thing to do, it ensures that, you're building up a community of, individuals who can create value, which is what we're all about. And, we want to take the opportunity to just speak on that a little bit further.
Right. A little bit of nicety and candor goes a long way. Just because somebody works for you now doesn't mean you're not going to work for them in the future, or going to need an opportunity from them in the future, or need a contact from them in the future. And if you burn that bridge while they're working for you, chances are that's not the only bridge you're burning, and opportunities might be thin. In a time like now, you don't want thin opportunity.
That's right. And when you think about your network, right, it's every individual is a node, right? And they're all connected by whatever specific relationships they have. But, to Anthony's point, it's so much bigger than just you. You're one point of that network for somebody else, just like they're one point of your network. You can imagine, when you think of 6 degrees of separation, how close you are to what you want to become. Maybe some of the individuals that you look up to, that you look at as role models or potentially mentors, how would they view your behavior? How would you view the behavior of someone else if you're mentoring them, if you're guiding them and coaching them? And, from a human level, how would you feel, if you did need help, or you reached out for help and, somebody wasn't there to give it to you? And how do you remember the ones that did that for you? Again, you're not doing this selfishly, right? This isn't for your personal gain, but there are benefits that come from doing the right thing and being a good person and, coworker and colleague and member of the community. So, unfortunately they go hand in hand, but we're not coming from a position of do this only for yourself. It's a matter of the more value that you can create as an individual, regardless of where that goes, the more opportunity that presents itself for you and the people around you. And you're surrounding yourself with good people, you're all helping each other, and, it goes a long way.
Yeah, and action's important. I feel like a lot of people have this opinion, but don't really put it into action. I feel like a lot of people have opinions and don't put it into action. A lot of people think the economy stinks. A lot of people don't like who their represents them in Congress. A lot of people don't like their job, but very few people take any action to make improvement. They really just sit in their basement and complain about it, or they sit in Chris's basement with him and complain about it.
Sure.
They don't really do anything. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about somebody else that sits in Chris's basement and complains
I
about
mean,
it.
that's our side podcast in which we sit there and complain about things and provide no solutions.
Yeah, it's important to take action. That's all I'm saying.
Absolutely. Very important. It's as simple as posting on LinkedIn, and there's a lot that you can do. So, you may not be in the position to affect change for someone in the sense of being able to hire them at your company, right? Or bring them into your organization, or help them with the capital that they need right now, to fund their business. But you can repost or like or share their message on LinkedIn. If you worked with them and you truly do have a handle as to how they operate, you can write a recommendation. If there's someone in your network that is hiring for a role that unfortunately was eliminated at the organization where they were working, share and just pass that along. It a little bit does really go a long way, and even if it doesn't end up working out, the ability to put others ahead of yourself in the sense of going forward with good in mind and being kind and empathetic to the situation, you know, you're going to catch a lot more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. I feel like I've said that on a podcast before. I feel like I'm going to say it on another podcast.
It's
It's
okay. I said eggs
these
in
are
a
recurring
basket
themes. Yes,
17 times on one podcast, I'm pretty sure.
that's right. And whoever responded back first with the correct number will send you a Cadbury egg.
I don't know if it was actually 17 times.
Well,
It was a
we'll find
lot.
we'll report back in another episode.
But if you are nice, you get people like Chris who's willing to stick his neck out for anybody he moderately knows and enjoys the company of, or enjoys the professional company of, to help you get a job or make an introduction. I've never seen somebody put in more referrals for at different companies for different roles through different networks than Chris.
I
He's a
appreciate
recruiter's
that.
dream.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And so, if anyone is interested in anything that I'm involved in, I would be happy to chat with you, and hopefully we can find something that makes sense, because you know, that is how I operate. It doesn't hurt to do those things. And to Anthony's, to compliment Anthony back on this, he certainly is an individual that does the same, but also, some of the work that he's done is definitely different than mine, and it puts him in a different category of opportunity that I don't necessarily have as much access to. So him and I have had conversations where, his expertise and his network is a much better fit for opportunities that someone that is in my network may be looking for, and he's always been more than willing to help out there, not just for me but for other friends and colleagues. So it is reciprocal. I know, this is kind of a back patting circumstance right now, but at the end of the day,
I only complimented you because I knew you were going to say that about me.
well, that's not the vein of selflessness that we're looking for in this specific episode, but I appreciate. No, but in all seriousness, that is the best way to operate. It doesn't hurt you to help somebody else. People, individuals aren't gunning for your spot; they're gunning for the idea of your spot. Unless it's direct competition where this company wants to take your market share, yeah, you probably don't want to help them beat you. But at the same time, if an individual from their organization, their position was eliminated, I'm sure you can see why they would bring a lot of value to your organization without trying to get insight about your competitor. So, it doesn't hurt to do the right thing, and to try to be as helpful as you can. And it doesn't always work out, but if you don't try, you'll never get a result. So to Anthony's point earlier, action. You need to take action, and now is a great time to be able to do that, because you never know when you might be relying on someone else to take action to help you out.
I think the comment you made on leveraging networks, if somebody's not the right fit for you, you always have somebody that you want to try to get them in touch with. It's not for everybody, obviously, but if there's a route to help, you always should be helping it. Doesn't take any time. I've reached out to CEOs on LinkedIn, COOs, board members, principals at venture funds, or general partners at venture funds, private equity funds. And a lot of the most successful ones are the ones that are most willing to give you 2 minutes and get you a contact, because it's really no sweat off their back. I mean, as they know more than anybody that leveraging a network and growing a network is the most important thing to being successful. Because if you don't have these contacts, you're never going to have anybody help you out. And nobody that's ever made $5 billion on their own has done it alone.
Absolutely. That's a great point. And, you know, you truly never do know what the other person can follow through on without potentially having that conversation, right? Like there's for those that follow Gary Vaynerchuk, there's individuals who work for him or have worked for him that he took a chance on, right? They did some projects for free. He saw how great a quality work that they did, and then they end up becoming meaningful pillars within the organization that then created opportunities for so many other people. And they asked, he returned, right? Somebody connected them together, whether it was directly or not. It's like we talk about in another episode, Just Start. It's a very similar concept of, you put yourself out there, ask, give it a try, and at the same token, help push people through the system, through the process, get them into networks, because you never know how good it can turn out. And if it doesn't go as well as obviously you would like it to go, it's not that much different than if they just hired somebody that had no connection, right? So you're not losing ground, you're really only gaining.
And it does work. Like, I don't want to say that it works all the time, but it certainly works. And you don't need to have something for them for it to work. For example, my brother, as a college student, reached out to an alumni of the school that he went to, worth, I believe, Google says $8 billion. Very wealthy.
Well, everything on Google's true, so I believe
Yes.
that.
So he's definitely a billionaire. He is runs a private equity fund, has been very successful, owns sports teams. My brother reached out to him with nothing, saying, "Hey, I go to the school you went to. I really like your background. I have the same major that you did. I'm really interested in working in private equity when I finish everything that I have to do. Uh, can you talk to me?" And he responded within 5 minutes. "Yeah, sure. Tell me when you want to talk." They talked. The guy ended the conversation with, "Hey, I'm going to be on campus in a month. Let's get together then." And now they stay in touch. That's all it takes. Just start. Just do it. A lot of people would say, "Oh, I'm not going to reach out to him because he's a billionaire, because he has the football field named after him, because he donated $200 million here, because he owns this sports team. He's probably really busy. He would never respond." Who cares if he doesn't respond?
You're in the same position you were if they don't respond. You're in the same exact position, but him responding changed the game. And those are the small calculated risks that you need to take, and again, you can craft the message. There's a lot of individuals who would say, bring some value to them before you ask them for something. But in your example, all of these commonalities lined up in the sense of, why wouldn't I want to help someone who's interested in what I do, who is an alumni of the school that is where I'm also an alumni, and I donate. I'm a big donor. I'm really invested in the success of this university. Why wouldn't you want someone from the university who has the courage to reach out and the foresight to know that it's worth taking that step? That's exactly who you want to help. Uh, I was reading something the other day about someone who met, a very successful business person, and instead of, they're also, celebrity, sports, entertainment type of individual, and instead of going up to them and just being a fan, they just wanted to talk to them about business, and that turned into a conversation, which turned into a relationship, which turned into future business. And again, it doesn't always go that way, and that's not the sole reason why you're doing this, but you truly never know how those conversations can go. It's the same reason why, David on a previous episode was talking from Nebula Snacks. Check them out, nebulasnacks.com. Who You talk to someone on a plane, you never know who you're talking to. You never know how that conversation goes. And then, the next thing you know, you can be in a completely different position because of just taking the step, just starting, and having the confidence to know that you need to nurture your network. And it goes both ways.
Right. And I think the message my brother sent to him was as simple as, hey, I'm studying marine engineering with a minor in nuclear engineering. I really want to work in this field, but I am interested in leveraging it into a private equity career later down the road. I know you have a similar background and you worked in maritime engineering, marine engineering, and broke into private equity. Can you talk to me about what it would take for somebody like me to do that? Because I know it's very difficult.
Uh, Spot on. That is exactly, I mean, that's the approach. Who doesn't like to talk about themselves, right? Who doesn't like to tell their story, and who doesn't like to feel like they're helping? So, your brother put them in the position to be able to do all of those things and drive value back, to you know, to the individuals who understand that this person opened the door and left the door open behind them instead of closing it. And those type of actions prove that they want that door to remain open so other people can have those types of successes as well. It doesn't have to be at the same level, but it gives the opportunity for that to happen.
Exactly. So let's wrap this up. Leverage your networks. Don't be afraid to reach out to people. Be nice to people. Stay in touch. None of it hurts. It's all easy. Don't be afraid. It goes further than you think. Nobody thinks you're weird for sending a LinkedIn message. I get LinkedIn messages all the time. And even if I ignore them, if I saw that person in person, it's not like I would think like, oh, this person sent me a LinkedIn message and I ignored it. It's
Absolutely.
just not one of those things. Don't be hesitant. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
If anything, you're going to get a response and it's going to be great and it's going to work out in your best interest. If not, you move forward, you reach out to the next person.
totally.
Again, like I said, we're all guilty of it. I don't respond to every message I get on LinkedIn, especially a lot of the sales stuff that's kind of irrelevant. But
Sure.
don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to sell yourself. Don't be afraid to leverage your network. Don't be afraid to create a greater network. It's all helpful.
Absolutely. And just to that point before you give your final rundown is if someone responds and they aren't able to help or they
We'll
don't
respond.
have the time to help, whatever the case is, we will respond for sure. So you can email us at host@businesschatterpod.com. But if even if they respond and they don't have the time, be humble, be understanding, and don't think that the door is closed unless they tell you the door is absolutely closed. People are busy, people have other things going on in their life. Maybe right now isn't that moment, but it doesn't mean that a future conversation can't happen. So even if it can be a bit discouraging at the moment, that is one small attempt. You have so many attempts to go. You only need to bat 300 to make the Hall of Fame. So keep
I
trying.
got this. Hold on. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
And we
Yeah,
bring it right back.
there we go.
All right, go ahead, wrap it up. Thank these wonderful listeners for listening.
How many do you think we have at this point?
I don't want to give any numbers yet. I want to check the data, but I know we're going to have at least two.
I think I'm busy that day, actually.
Well, you know what? I'll reach out to my network and I'll just need one.
Well, thanks for listening, watching, liking, subscribing. You can find us at Business Chatter Pod on Instagram. You can email us, show ideas, suggest guests at host@businesschatterpod.com. We will respond. And if it's an email that has really good grammar, well put together, it was Chris that responded. Definitely Chris.
I will take that.
I'm
I
an
will take
excellent
that.
short story writer. Grammar defeats me.
Yes, we work very well together because we can balance each other's strengths and weaknesses very well.
I do think in Dr. Seuss style narratives, but Chris has to write them down for me.
Yes, it's certainly a process, but
Mhm.
also it's very difficult to read my handwriting. So, there's a weakness. I'll
Yeah.
share that with the world. We really do appreciate it. As we said, we're very grateful for you sharing your time. We know it's extremely valuable. So thank you for sharing it with us. We are the Business Chatter Podcast.
I kind of
Consider
miss you,
us.
Chris.
I know it's been a little while. Maybe
Yeah.
on the next episode we'll kind of recap why we're separate at this moment, and we'll dig into what our lives have been like for the last 2 weeks.
Why are we separate? I feel like we should always be together. We're basically like, I mean,
I mean, don't worry, I didn't kick him out of the basement. He was just traveling international, and I have some stuff going on. I've been a little under the weather. We wanted to make sure that we are available to make sure the podcast happens as opposed to needing to be right next to each other on this couch. But in the future, we will be on the couch together again. And, depending on your feedback, maybe we'll update the background in time.
in time,
In time.
in due time. That's a movie
Yes.
in time with Justin Timberlake. Pretty good.
there's your suggestion. So in the next week, somebody please check that out and let us know what your thoughts are. I can't co-sign on it because I haven't seen it.
Well, we're gonna end it there.
All right. The Business Chatter podcast. Consider us your crash course on value creation through the words of individuals who have done it before. We'll see you next time.
Bye.